Hey everybody, let's see if we're streaming. I've just learned how to use a new, hang on a second, how do I get to YouTube Studio now? Oh, there we go. Oh, I think we are streaming. I love it. Fantastic. Hold on, let me just see if I can see myself in YouTube Studio. And then, if anybody's in right now and wants to confirm that you can see and hear me, that'd be helpful too. What's up, Positive Pyro? Cool. I'm guessing you can see and hear me since you're saying hello. Oh, and now I can see myself on the thing. There might be a bit of a lag, but that's all right. Oh, there we go. Now I see everybody. Hi, you guys. Resin 3 just says, "Where's Kent?" Hi, Marianne. Positive Pyro, thanks for that confirmation. Chrysla 112, cool, yes. Live. Hi, Colleen. Fantastic. Okay, I think it just takes a minute for the... what I'd like you to do also is tell me, for those of you who have seen my lives in the past, they were done without special software, and the sound and the video was not great. So let me know if this is an improvement, I guess. It should be, I think, if I did my settings correctly. And I don't have any fancy, assistants, except for Kent, who is usually not here for one thing, and for another knows nothing about technology, except for a camcorder from 1988. He knows a lot about that. Okay, now I want to see if I can see your comments from my other... Nope. All right. Okay, great. So we've got some people on here just here to see Kent. And I get that. I totally understand. Okay, I'm just reading the thing. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this, you guys. First of all, I've got this fancy hat on right now because I've learned in shooting videos with snakes that sometimes they like to crawl up onto the brim of a strongly brimmed hat. And let's see if Echo does that right now. She's never done it before. There she goes. So, I'm seeing this in a probably a 30-second lag. It's okay though. I wish I could see this in real time because I want to see where she's going. Anyway, the point is that the snakes kind of like to crawl onto the hat, and now the problem with Echo is that she's so light. She's only about 140 grams. That I don't know where she's at. Oh, I can just look in the mirror, I guess. But she could totally get away from me, and I would never know it. So, you know what I'm going to do, actually? I'm going to put her, I think... Where's she at? I'm going to put her maybe on her... Hi, babes. Look at this. Look at this young lady right here. Hang on, I got to see this in real time. There we go. Look at how cute she is, and she matches this cheap hat that I got in Mexico. They really like being on a brimmed hat. So anyway, what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying because this is actually kind of a cool look, really. So let me tell you this also, and then I'll get your comments. I've got targets right here. This is the subject of a video that's coming up, but I've been target training some of my snakes. I don't think Echo knows her target well enough to trigger a hunger response, but or a feeding response. Her target is this blue one right here, and I've only used it probably maybe 4 times with her. I've fed her before without using it also, trying to get her on Reptilinks. But I have a couple other snakes that do know their green target, and I'm wondering if I take them out and they see it, if they're going to just have a feeding response. So we'll see. All right, now let me look at these comments. Let's see. Hang on. So the problem I'm finding with this software is it doesn't allow... I have to go into YouTube to see the comments. Oh, Lori, welcome. Lori's a new viewer. I'm glad you're here. I feel like everybody's a new viewer because to me this channel is still brand new. And so I appreciate everybody that watches the channel and enjoys it. So Echo here is doing great, you guys. If you haven't seen the video or videos about Echo, she's a relatively new snake. She's a super dwarf reticulated python, and she's 50% Karompa, which is a really rare, it's the smallest locality of super dwarf. And they're kind of known for being really non-defensive and not real bitey. They're kind of, and I found this to be true with her. She's never mistaken me for food. Like, she's never given me a food response bite. She always checks out my hand and seems to know what my hand is versus what a prey item is. And so she's doing really well. And she's super smart and really, like, you can tell that she's engaging with you when you handle her. You know, she's really checking you out and engaging, and she's not like just trying to get away or you know what some snakes do. So I really like her. She's awesome. Let's see. Yeah, she is super cute, and I'm excited to see her grow. I think she's going to remain cute. She's really cool. Hang on. There we go. She's just super inquisitive, and she's always got that tongue flicking and figuring stuff out. She, you know, in her enclosure, I don't remember if that was last week's video. I think last week's video talked about her enclosure and this ladder that I've got for her. But I put a sky hide in her enclosure. I put it up on the ceiling. And, oh, Lori, thanks so much for the super chat for Echo. Echo, you just got $20. I'm going to put a $20 bill in your enclosure because that's for you. Spend it on whatever you want. That's really sweet. Thanks, Lori. Anyway, so I mounted this sky hide to her ceiling. It's just a little tiny, what's it called? Reptile Basics hide. And I thought, I don't know if I want to mount it up here, but I guess I will, and she might use it. She uses it all the time, and it's really great for me because if I want to pull her out, I just pull that hide out, and she's just in it, and then she comes out onto my hand, and it's really easy to gather her out of her enclosure. So Snake Lady 21, how different is the Retake compared to ball pythons? You know, I only have the experience of having a Retake for a few months, for a couple, 3 months maybe, and just this little baby one. So my experience is limited, but I will say, hang on as I try to get my hat back on, I will say that I do think that it's true that these are highly intelligent snakes, and that's not to say that ball pythons aren't intelligent. And again, I'm successfully target training several of my ball pythons, and they're following the target, and they understand that it's that a target is food related. So I think ball pythons are smarter than people give them credit for, but a reticulated python, even this little baby girl, engages with me more than the ball pythons do. I think on a regular basis, and they're more active. During the day, like they're still considered a nocturnal or crepuscular species, but a little bit more active during the day, and she'll hang out and fall asleep outside of her hide a lot more than a ball python would. So she does like her sky hide a lot, but like yesterday she spent most of the day just sitting on top of a log out in the open. Now she's crawling on the mic. You guys might be able to hear it. So they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool. I like her a lot. I love ball pythons too, but this is a very cool snake. And as far as the other thing is their appetite. They're, you know, she's probably never going to miss a meal. And I got her on Reptilinks, which those of you who are watching these lives get a little preview of upcoming videos, because I'm going to do a video on Reptilinks. But it took two wasted links before she started taking them. So now the plan is that I'll feed her a Reptilink once a month, and then her other meals will be like rodents or maybe a baby quail or something like that. But for reticulated pythons, it's good to vary their diet, and a Reptilink has a bunch of different meats in it. So she'll get one of those a month, and when she takes a Reptilink, she won't need to eat for 2 weeks, so I can give her a week off of food. So basically, she gets fed 3 times a month right now. Yes, Positive Pyro, I agree. Lori Torini is awesome. She's got some great snake training videos. Miss Grimm, Echo is expected to get 7 or 8 feet long, which seems really big, right? Because we're thinking of ball pythons, like a 7 or 8 foot ball python. But keep in mind this body type. She'll retain this body type. So she's 3 feet long right now, believe it or not, and only 150 grams. So my guess is that she will be 3,500 to 4,000 grams and 7 or 8 feet long. So curled up, about the same size as an adult ball python. And that's really small on the super dwarf side. This is I got her specifically because of her small bloodlines. So you know, when I tell you the size that we're expecting her to get, that's if you get a super dwarf reticulated python, that's not the normal size that they grow to. They really vary in size. And you've got to be careful of the bloodlines you get, and you have to buy from somebody that you trust, because a baby super dwarf reticulated python looks like a baby mainland reticulated python. And so you could buy from somebody who goes, oh yeah, it's a super dwarf, it'll be real small. And then it turns out to be a mainland, and you've got a, you know, 15-foot, 150-pound animal on your hands. And you don't want that. Or maybe you do. Maybe you do want that, but I doubt it. Let's see. Oh, Sierra, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. How did you first get into snakes, and specifically ball pythons? Thanks for the amazing content. These creatures deserve all the love in the world. Oh, thanks so much. I have been into reptiles my whole life since I was a kid. I've had all kinds of lizards and different various snakes. When I was younger, I had different various snakes. And then I probably didn't have anything. The last reptiles that I had before I got ball pythons was a couple of bearded dragons, and they were cool, but I was touring a lot, and I was like, man, I can't have animals because I'm gone all the time. I'm always gone, so I can't have pets. And then I realized that I can have snakes, because snakes don't eat every day, and so I got a ball python, and then I got more ball pythons, and I already knew probably more than the average person who doesn't own ball pythons. I knew quite a bit about them, and then just learned as much as I could. I'm big on researching anything I get into. I research a lot, and then it hit me that I should do a YouTube channel on ball pythons, because I was trying to figure out. For several years, I was trying to figure out what I could do on YouTube that's not just like a sketch comedy show. And this seemed to work, because it's very specific. And if you're going to have a YouTube channel, it should be really laser focused specific on something. By the way, I'm drinking out of my Green Room Pythons Glencairian glass. Can you see that logo? They did a pretty good job making it. I ordered it, and they told me it wouldn't come out right. And I said, well, I'll pay for it. Just try it. Let's see what happens. It came out pretty good. Anyway, this is Highland Park 12, which, if you're into Scotch, this is a lovely single malt Scotch that's not super expensive. And I like it. So that's that. Let me get back to the... I keep having to switch back and forth. Oh, Lori, I'm glad that Darwin is doing well. I love that name for a snake. That's fantastic. Hold on, what did I miss? Oh, Butch Plumber. Is that what that said? Butch Plumber. I need my glasses on. Thanks for binge watching all my videos. That's great. And congrats on your new snake. It looks like a lot of people are getting their first ball python or their first snakes. That's really cool. Maya Brown, same thing, first ball python. That's great. I love that everybody's getting their first snakes. Hang on. Echo, can you not do that? She's wrapping herself around a light. I'm going to put her on her... I'm going to let her climb for a minute. Let me switch real quick. And then maybe I'll take out another snake. Hi, do you want to climb? Look at this. Look at this. Oh man, it's going to take her forever to notice. You're going the wrong way. You're going the wrong way. Excuse me for just a minute. Look at that. Wait, look. Look at that. There you go. You know what that's all about. She just had to notice it. All right, so she's going to climb. This little setup, you guys, I did a video on this that I'm sure some of you have seen. But this works out so well when you don't have a ton of space. Like, this is a very small room, and I don't have, like, I didn't want to have like a cat tree taking up more room in the place. And these are floor to ceiling closets, and you know, I'm just hanging a ladder off that thing and giving her spots to climb on it. And it's kind of interesting to see her behavior, because she is what she used to do, and I think I mentioned this in the video, is she would climb all the way to the top and sit on top of the doors and kind of move back and forth. And then she sort of stopped doing that. She had her fill of that. She explored enough, and then she would go to this highest ledge up here and sit up there. And she still does that a lot, but now she's doing a lot more of this, just hanging out on the lower ends. She'll hang out on this little, this is like a bearded dragon cot, and so she spent about 2 hours the other day just going all the way down and all the way up and all the way down and all the way up, just exploring everything. So that tells me, I think, that she's more comfortable. She feels completely safe. You know, a reticulated python feels safe when they're way up high, just like a ball python feels safe when they're hidden in a hide. A retic wants to be way up high to feel safe. And the fact that she's coming down and exploring the lower extremes of her ladder makes me think that she's probably feeling safe, you know, to do that, which is cool. All right, let me catch up on comments again. Snake Lady 21, you'll want more snakes. Yes, everybody wants more snakes. Anybody that's into snakes wants more snakes. Yeah, Reach Out Reptiles is awesome. And by the way, congratulations to Garrett for winning the Snake Discovery enclosure build-off. That was cool to watch him sweep in there, sort of under the wire, get in on that thing, and then just kill it with the coolest, most creative enclosure. That was fun to see. Garrett is where Garrett is the breeder of Echo, and my next several super dwarfs that I don't have yet. I'm on a list right now of a clutch that hopefully is on the way. We're still a few months away from it, but it's got some cool genetics and some more small localities or bloodlines. Ian, evening from the United States. Here it's middle of the night, I'm guessing, in the UK. Let's see. Ryder, congrats on your new ball python. That's great. Marianne, what other platform are you on? I'm only on I'm on YouTube and Instagram. I mean, Green Room Pythons has a Facebook page also, but that was just because they made me have a Facebook page to have a creator Instagram page. So I don't do anything on that Facebook. The stuff that I post on Instagram, the photos that I post on Instagram transfer to that Facebook page. But I think the best content that I do on Instagram, and I need to do more of it, is reels. And those reels don't transfer to Facebook. So let's see. Jane, Haunted Cornwall, you're moving on to boas. That's cool. I love boas. Let's see. Hi, Elizabeth. Giovanni, congrats on your new snake. There's so many new snake owners in here. That's so cool. That's great. Sierra, I'm glad you found my channel on Bio. So this Bioactive, one of the reasons that I wanted to start a channel is to talk about Bioactive and to sort of do this experiment and see how it works. And I'm over a year now, and I need to make that video, my 1 year Bioactive video, and update everybody on the enclosure. Mad SX Salati, Mad Slotty. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't have anything other than ball pythons and this reticulated python. That's what I got. Yeah, so, I see people talking about people being afraid of snakes. That's a thing that, for those of us who are not afraid of snakes, and we find them endearing and charming and lovely, you can't imagine somebody being afraid of snakes. But I can, just because I think of something that I have been afraid of my whole life, and that's spiders. I've worked on that, and I'm less afraid of spiders now. But knowing that that's an irrational fear, anybody can be afraid of anything. I've got a good friend who's deathly afraid of birds. And that's a relatively common fear, I guess. Snakes is a super common fear. But, it's one of those things that you just kind of have to be patient with people. I've got, I don't ever try to force my snakes on people. I want to continue this, I did the one video of introducing somebody to snakes that's afraid of snakes, and I want to continue to do that. And I will, but I really don't want to force that on anybody, because it's a real fear, and, I'm not trying to, if they want to get over their fear of snakes, then cool, I'll help them. But if they don't want to, that's okay. Snakes aren't something that people have to deal with on a daily basis. So if they're afraid of snakes, they can just stay away from them and not, that's kind of how I feel about it. But I'll tell you, my neighbor, who is one of my best friends, her name is Yoli, and she lives a few steps away from me. When I first got the snakes, she had never held a snake before, and she was clearly afraid. Not that she has a phobia of snakes, but she just didn't know what to think. And she held a couple snakes, and she told me, she goes, I got to tell you, I'm not very comfortable holding these. And I said, okay, you don't have to hold them. And, so then I didn't push it. But then I got Echo, and the day that I got Echo, I was unboxing her, and Yoli came in, and she saw her, and she goes, oh, let me hold that one. So she sat there with Echo for probably 20 minutes holding Echo, and then she's probably held her 2 or 3 times since then. But now she loves all my snakes, because Echo was kind of the gateway drug. So the other day we were sitting outside, and she was like, go get Lucille. I want to hold Lucille. And go get Lydia Dietz. Let me see Lydia Dietz. So I was just coming in and bringing out snakes for her to hold. It was great. So she definitely has gotten over her fear of snakes. My gosh, you guys, I got to turn on my AC. It is so hot in here. I turned it off because of the sound, but it's hot. Turn on. There we go. This is, by the way, that my last video on. Look at this. Look at this little interface. Hold on, I gotta make sure I'm showing what. Look at this little interface. So I just go on and off from anywhere I'm at in the world. Turns my AC on and off. And it usually does it automatically. I don't have to do it on my own. All right, back to these comments. This is one of those things, you guys, that I can't decide how I want to do my live streams. If, you know, I've done it where I say, if you super chat, I'll definitely read your comment and I'll answer any comment. Otherwise, I'm just going to barrel through and talk about what I want to talk about. And then I've done them like this before, where you know, I sort of spend a lot of time reading comments and I try to answer everybody. And I feel like that's boring for people. I mean, not the people that I'm answering questions or comments from, but I feel like that's boring for the other people watching. So let me know what you think about how I should do these live streams, because I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do for the format of these. And I will be doing them on a more regular basis. I'm actually doing this one just because I was traveling through almost all of August, and I had shot videos ahead of time, but now I'm all caught up, and I have to shoot more. You know, like I've been working on next week's video. I'm not even done editing next week's video, and so doing a live stream gives me a buffer week to get on some more videos. All right, hang on. Let's see. Oh, thanks, Happy Amy. I appreciate that you like my pictures on Instagram. I need to post more on Instagram. It's tough to. I do a lot of different things, you guys, and I keep myself really busy during the day, and most of it is not snake related. But I do, like, I feel like I need to post more content on Instagram. Keith, congrats on your new snake. You guys, if I miss your comment, I'm kind of blowing through these. If I miss your comment or a question and you want me to answer, just ask again and I'll probably see it. I'm just scrolling down. Seraph O. Storms, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. Fostering my first ball python named Leo P. Snexon. That's a great name. He's shy, inquisitive, and clumsy, as they are. Ball pythons are clumsy animals. Friend gave him to me because I got him to eat for the first time in 3 months. Oh, well done. That's great. How'd you get him to eat? That's fantastic. That's the thing with ball pythons, you guys. They are clumsy. I told somebody I used to be more active on Facebook as far as like trying to give people advice, and now I only do it if I think I can really help. But one time a while back I was oh shoot, what did I just open? Oh, come on. Hang on. A while back I was no. Oh shoot, everything's going wrong now. Okay. Hang on. I want to make sure that I'm not screwing everything up. Oh, good. Okay, we're still good. Anyway, what I was saying is that a while back I was trying to give somebody some advice. She was saying that she was going to make an 8-foot tall ball python enclosure. In retrospect, this person probably would never make an 8-foot tall. She was probably just talking, and I didn't need to respond to her. But I let her know that that my ball, I was talking about my ball python rather than saying that ball pythons are clumsy. I said, I've got a very athletic ball python, and he falls in his enclosure all the time. And if he was 8 feet off the ground, he'd really get hurt. And she goes, well, you have a clumsy ball python, and I can't help it if your ball python's too. Like, she got really upset at me hinting that her ball python might be clumsy. But they are clumsy creatures, and don't argue with people on Facebook. That's my suggestion. Hang on, let's see. Everybody's moms are afraid of snakes. That's where I'm at right now in these comments. Marche Ferrani, yes, your heating pad should be in the hide, under the hide in the warm side all the time, regardless of your ambient temperatures, because your heating pad will be on a thermostat. So, if your ambient temperatures makes the heating pad go up a little bit, it'll turn off. The thermostat will turn it off. So make sure you're anything that's heated in your enclosure, make sure that's on a thermostat and you'll be just fine. Ian, yeah, you're right, about $100 for a consultation. It's a minimum of $100 to take your snake to a vet, I would say, here in the United States. And then, whatever testing and medication and whatever. It's pretty expensive. So I try to keep my snakes as healthy as possible so as to avoid a vet bill. But it's something that you always got to think about. I know people that have rabbits and guinea pigs and stuff like that, and they don't have the money. They only have the money just to take care of those animals and barely take care of themselves. And anytime an animal has to go to the vet, they're on Facebook and whatever, trying to start a GoFundMe to pay for their vet bills. And I never say anything, but my suggestion to everyone is make sure if you have an animal that you can afford unexpected vet bills, because they're spendy. Tanner, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. According to Clint's Reptiles new video, Retakes produce a lot of liquid urine. Any substrates you found work well? You know what? So here's the thing. Yes, they do produce. I keep having to look over at her. They do produce more waste, but it's not been much of a problem yet for me because I've got this little 150 gram girl, and I think she probably poops maybe more often than the ball pythons. After she eats, she's going to poop 4 or 5 days later for sure. Whereas I've got some ball pythons that don't. God, I'm getting texts like crazy. Let me turn off my sound. I've got ball pythons that'll go 6 weeks and several meals without pooping. So I have her just on Reptichip and at the bottom of her enclosure, and that it hasn't been a problem. I just spot clean. So we'll see as she gets bigger. We'll see if that becomes more of a problem. My goal, by the way, you guys, with the retakes is I'd like to have a group of 2 or 3 females and 1 male for breeding 5 years down the road. Right now, it's just a fun pet, but I would like to produce them, and my goal is really small bloodlines. I want to get these really selective small bloodlines from Garrett, and use those for breeding in the future. But they take longer to grow up than ball pythons. So minimum 5 years for her, because she's so small. Okay, let's see. I'm just trying to get through some of these. You guys, again, if I missed your comment and you want me to reply, ask me again, and I'll probably see it. Going through all the exotic vet stuff. Here's something about feeding a mouse. I'm just going through this quickly. Let me just say this, you guys. I've said this before, but even though rats are technically healthier, I think, for ball pythons, not for all snakes, but for ball pythons, and they're also cheaper. It's cheaper to feed 1 rat than a whole bunch of mice. Snakes can do just fine on mice if you've got a mouser. I have a mouser, and although she does go off food, she's a pied, and she does go off food, and I'm talking about that in the video that's coming out next week. when she's on food, she eats mice, and I just feed her several mice, and she does just fine. She got up to breeding weight this year. I don't know that she's going to go. I don't know that she's going to lay eggs for me this year, but she got well over like 1,800 pounds, or not 1,800 pounds, that's a big snake, 1,800 grams, and she did it on mice. So mice are just fine. You just have to feed them enough. Yep, talking about vet bills, that's a thing. Oh, happy Amy, I'm glad you got your banana ball python eating again. Happy to help. I'm almost caught up on stuff, you guys. I can start talking about the other things that... Hang on. So Heather Rush, you asked a very good question. I did a video a while back on, might have been the first genetics video that I did. I'm not sure, so I can't tell you exactly where it is. But you guys, what Heather is asking is, why do classic ball pythons have different markings and color tones? And the reason is, and you see this all the time, you know, people will post, I got this ball python and PetSmart tells me it's normal, but its colors are really bright, so what morph is it? Or its pattern is funky, so what morph is it? So remember that the morphs that we have identified are just a handful, even though we've identified hundreds of morphs, it's a small handful of the genes that make up a ball python, the millions of genes that make a ball python what it is. And we've just identified the ones that we think are cool, that we want to sort of target breed for, line breed for. And there are millions of, I don't know if millions is correct, I'm not a geneticist, but there's a pile, we'll say a pile. There's a pile of other genes that make ball pythons look like they look and do different things to their pattern and color and whatever. And most of those genes are too subtle for us to pull out and say, oh, this one looks really cool. So you end up with these wild type ball pythons, which are very, what's the word? What's the genetic word that I'm looking for, you guys? Somebody has it. I just lost it because I've been drinking Scotch. They're very polymorphic is the word that I'm looking for. So they, you know, normal ball pythons, I think, are really cool. If normal was a morph, it would be highly desirable. They're beautiful snakes and really polymorphic, and no normal ball python looks the same as the next. So it's a cool thing about them, and it's all because of the many genes that that make up a ball python that we haven't named. Hang on, I'm just going through these. Thanks, AJ. I appreciate that compliment. That's really nice. Glad you're here, Jen. Thanks, those of you who are watching me live for the first time. I'm glad you're here. I'm going to do more of these lives so that people can, and we'll figure out a standard day and time that I'll do them. I don't know when that's going to be, but Jefferson, I can tell you that your ball python is probably not constipated. It's a pretty common fear. They're usually not constipated. They can go a long time without pooping, and you know, sometimes they'll wait and poop when they shed. But you can feed them a number of meals, and they won't poop. You know, people say people will give the advice that you could soak them, and you can, and it'll make them poop, but it'll also stress them out, and it's probably not necessary. So, I recommend just letting them do what they do. You know, they'll poop when they want to poop. how's it going with the eggs? Asks Positive Pyro. Thanks for asking. They're good. They're sitting in the incubator. They're a little sunken in right now, which is normal for. I think we're 2 weeks away from them hatching. So I did a really stupid thing that I think is not going to turn out bad. But there's a trick if your eggs develop mold to put some tenactin powder on them. And there was a little bit of mold on a couple of the eggs, like not enough to really even do anything about, but I had this tenactin powder. It's a spray powder. And so I just grabbed it, and without thinking, I was just like, oh, I'll just put some of this on it. And then I sprayed it on the eggs, and I was like, well, that's more than just powder. There's stuff in the spray can that makes it spray. Like, there's all kinds of stuff in that. What am I doing? So I usually think things through before doing something like that. But I've checked it's made me check on the eggs every day since I did that, and they seem fine. I think they're okay. But that was dumb. I should have went to the store and got the powder that you dump onto the thing rather than spraying a aerosol. I mean, it still was powder that came out of it, but along with other stuff. And I'm not a chemist, so I don't know what's in those cans. But that being said, the eggs are fine. I think they're doing great. I'm really excited for a hatching. I'm excited for a hatching in 2 weeks, and Damara is that's my big pinstripe girl. She's due to lay next week, so I should have another clutch on the ground next week, and that is the inspector's. That should be the inspector, the father of that clutch, and I think the Freya's clutch that's in the incubator right now, I think is Ron's. And let's just get Ron out right now, since he's right here. Ron just shed yesterday. Hi, buddy. Hi, little scaredy cat. I just showed Ron off in the video that's coming out next week. And I'm going to do it again right here because he's so cool after he shed. Look at the guitar on the top of his head. Let's see, how do I turn him? Oh, come on, buddy. You got to go this way. Look at that. Look at that guitar. Isn't he cool? So Ron's a asphalt spot nose Enchi, and it's that'll be a 6-gene combo because Freya is Calico Orange Dream Extreme Gene. And I believe that Ron will be the father, but he may not be. The inspector might be. I started the season out pairing the inspector with Freya, and they paired up several times, maybe 4 times, and then she stopped locking with him. He was clearly interested, but she was not. So I put him in a few times, and she didn't lock, and so I went, well, I've got Ron that I had just got. He was just out of quarantine, and when I bought him, I didn't think he was going to be up to size for breeding this year, but he totally was. He was like 700 grams, so I went, well, I'll put him in with Freya and see what happens, and they locked up right away. So her last couple of locks was with Ron, and so I think he's going to be the dad, but you never know. Lori, thanks for that super chat. Again, I appreciate that. Darwin was hatched mid-June. I've had him 1 month. He's eaten 3 times. Cool. He hasn't shed since I've had him. Do they all have their own shed schedule? Yeah, they do have their own shed schedule. Shed schedule. And they shed mainly because of growth when they are growing, and they also will shed if they get sick and are healing up. They'll shed as a result of that. But yeah, they figure roughly every 6 weeks or so they might shed, but it really depends on their growth rate. That could vary widely. Liv CJA, congrats on your ball python. I'm glad you're enjoying the videos. Seraph O Storm says that her ball python pooped for the first time after his first shed. Yeah, a lot of snakes will wait until they shed to poop, and that's the thought behind that is that they do it because in the wild they would shed and poop and then leave the whatever burrow they're in, whatever hole in the ground they happen to be in, whether it's a termite mound or under a barn or whatever, because shedding leaves their scent all over the place and gives them away, and so they might as well poop at the same time too. So a lot of snakes will shed and poop at the same time, or poop within 24 hours of shedding, which is what Ron did yesterday. Let's see. Yeah, Ryder, I'm excited to see Damara's babies. You know, Damara is my least, you know, what people would consider the least cool genetically, but she is the sweetest as far as personality. And I have a theory. I don't really have anything to prove this at this point, but I have a theory that the babies take after the mother as far as personality, and it'll be interesting to see if I get really docile babies from Damara. But I'm interested to see her because she, you know, with Pinstripe being her only gene, she's either going to throw Pinstripes or she'll throw normals from her end of the spectrum. And the inspector, we don't know what all is in him as far as genetics. I mean, we have an idea of what might be in there, but he's got his banana and Orange Dream and Inchy together are masking some other potential stuff. And for instance, Super Inchy or Super Orange Dream, we don't know if he has that. We don't know if he has Fire. He could have Pastel, but I don't think he does. So anyway, Damara will help prove that out, because we'll definitely see those with a Pinstripe and we'll see them with a normal, and so it'll help to prove those genes out. Nick, Snake Room Tour. Yeah, I mean, we can kind of do that right now because I'm sitting in the little corner where all my snakes are. I'm going to put Ron back. I don't have a ton of snakes. I have, what do I have, 11 snakes? You know, I'm not one of those people that goes out and buys 100 snakes. But I do have a new one coming, you guys, and that will be a video. She was supposed to show up tomorrow, but there's some shipping delays with FedEx right now, so it's going to be next week. So I'm going to reveal that next week. Let's see. So here, the eggs are due to hatch. Freya's... let's get Freya out so you can see her. Freya's eggs are due to hatch in 2 weeks. And I think they take 55 days on average. And I've got the temp in there at 88 degrees. It's at 89, but the thermostat's at 89. And the incubator's sitting at 88, which is a degree or two lower than normal, so it's going to take them a little bit longer to hatch. So I think 2 to 3 weeks they'll probably be pipping. Happy Amy, next video. The video is almost always, unless I do a week like this where instead of a regular video I do a live stream. The regular videos come out at 10 o'clock Pacific time on Mondays. I don't know why. I've never done any tests to see if that's the best time of day to do it. It's just what I started doing, and I haven't changed it yet. But that's coming out. The next video is coming out next week, and it's on... hold on. What's it on? My mind just went blank. What have I been shooting this week? I'll tell you when I think of it. Let me get Freya out. Well, hi there, young lady. You want to come out and be social for a minute? There's a thing with having snakes that are breeding where you don't want to mess with them when they're being breeding mamas, and the problem is that takes months. It's months without messing with them, and if they kind of get to where they're not used to being pulled out of their enclosures, and you have to almost re-socialize them again. And Freya Freya's so beautiful. I love calico. It's one of my favorite genes. It's just a incomplete dominant gene, so easy to make calico, and it's been around for a long time. But look at this. I mean, she's a high expression calico, so they don't all have this much white going up the sides. But man, she is just beautiful. And she won't necessarily make high expression calicos. It'll kind of be random, from what I understand. But I love this pattern. And she's also extreme gene, which I don't know a lot about, but it causes some chocolatish dripping down the side. But the calico is wiping out the sides, so it's kind of canceling that out. And then she's got Orange Dream too, which I'm sure was more evident when she was younger. But I'm going to put her right here so she's a little more comfortable. So I'm not holding her by her neck and tail, which is not ideal to hold a snake. Look at little Echo, just happy right there. What was I saying? Oh, I was trying to remember what video I'm doing. I've been working on it this week, and it is, I know what it is. It's one tip to get your not good feeders to be good feeders. So it's not, I already have a video on how to get your snake that's off food back on food. This is how to get a snake to be consistently eating. And I think it'll be a good little video. Let's see. Oh, Ryder, that's such a great description. Hot cocoa and with whipped cream. That's totally what she looks like with her colors and such. Ian, thanks for hanging out for so long, man. It's really late where you're at. Have a great night, or morning, I guess, at this point. Just reading. Happy Amy, I haven't decided. She's asking if I'm going to do a video cutting the eggs. I haven't decided if first of all, I don't know if I'm going to cut the eggs or not at this point. And the reason is I'm not against cutting eggs. And I think I could do it. But I'm not. I don't know that there's necessarily a reason to do it, other than your own curiosity. But also, they're due to pip. I mean, I think they're going to be a little bit later than this. But if they pip on their due date, I'm going to be out of town anyway. So I could potentially come home. I think I'm 2 or 3 days out of town during that time. So I could come home to little snakes crawling around in the egg box, which is just fine. They're, they once they pip, they take a couple days to come out of the egg anyway, or maybe longer than a couple days, and so you just leave them in the incubator in the egg box anyway. So, I don't know if I'm going to cut the eggs for one thing, and if I do, I don't know if I'm going to do that video or not, just because I don't feel like my channel is a ball python breeder channel. There's a lot of breeder channels that do egg cutting videos and such like that, because they're trying to, they're not trying to do anything. It's just what they have a ton of snakes, and that's a really interesting thing is watching those snakes hatch, and so they're doing these egg cutting videos. I don't feel like I'm that kind of channel, though. I don't know that I want to do that. But it's also interesting, and people would like to see it, so maybe I will. I haven't decided yet. So that is my answer to that question. What do you guys think? Do you want to see the egg cutting video or what? Just trying to catch up. Sierra, I hope to see. So with Freya, I really want to prove out the inspector, but Freya is not the snake to prove anything out with the inspector, just because she has 3 genes that are going to muddle things a little bit. And when I first started breeding, I had I have 3 breeding females, and I had 1 male. So I was breeding this banana boy. Maybe I'll get him out. I was breeding him to all my females, and I realized I don't need 3 clutches full of, but he's going to throw banana males. So almost every male that I hatch, probably 100% of them will be bananas. And I was like, I don't need that many bananas. And then I ended up with Ron, and he was big enough to breed. And I was like, well, why don't I put Ron with Freya? Because I'd love to produce some more asphalts. Anyway, she's trying to get to the microphone. I'd love to produce more asphalts anyway. And, that would be that'd be a good pairing. So it worked out nicely that she stopped locking up with the inspector so that I could get Ron in there. And who knows? He may not be the father. I may end up with all the inspector's babies, which would be totally fine. Can I put you back, young lady? Would you like to go back? I bet you would. Oh no? What do you think? I'm showing her enclosure right now, and she's kind of... You know what? I'm going to leave it open so you can wander if you want. So that's one thing I've been letting her do. I mean, I offer it to her anyway during breeding season, but she wasn't taking me up on it. Hold on, there we go. But I'll leave her enclosure open, and she's big enough where she can pretty much wander. Yeah, she's coming right back out. She can wander my place and go under the couch and get stuck behind the mirror. I have this big, tall mirror, and she likes to go back there and get herself in trouble. She can do that, but you can't go behind the rack. Don't go back there. I'm redirecting her with my foot. There you go. Go the other way. Let me get back to... You guys, I feel like this live stream is all over the place. And part of the reason is that I realized a half an hour before I started this that I never came up with what I'm going to talk about. Like, I spent half the day figuring out how to use this new software for live streaming, and also setting up my Husbandry Pro. I did that also today, which took a really long time, but I think is worth it. I think it's going to be really cool. Does anybody use Husbandry Pro that's watching right now? If so, what do you think of it? I'm just trying to redirect Freya. She wants to go behind the rack. Anyway, I realized that I didn't have a topic for today, so I wrote down some things that I haven't even gotten to. Like, I don't think I've even looked at my notes here. Anyway, that's why this is all over the place. Yeah, anyway. So Husbandry Pro, for those of you who don't know, is just a way of tracking your snakes and everything they do. And what I normally do is I have books, let me get back to this. I have these little books for each of my snakes. It's like a little diary, and I write down every time they eat and every time they poop and any breeding action. I write down in those, and as I get more snakes, I realized a long time ago that that's not a sustainable way of doing things. I'm going to have to switch to an app pretty soon, and I'm realizing that next week I'll have 1 more adult snake, and 2 to 3 weeks from now I'll have 7 more baby snakes that I'll need to track. Yeah, I'm not going to keep all those, but I still need to track them, for the time that I have them. And so I might as well just switch to Husbandry Pro. So it was nice that I'm putting only 11 snakes in. Like, that took me half the day to enter in all the information and go through. I went through all the past breeding information, at least for all the girls. I didn't go back on feeding or anything like that, but I put in everything that I thought I might have to reference later. And man, it's a cool app. It's for those of you that have a lot of animals, and you can use it for anything, for any kind of animal. It's set up for mainly for ball pythons, but reptiles in general. But you could do it for chinchillas if you wanted. You can do it for cows, whatever, because it's super customizable. You can customize everything in it. So I like it. I think it's cool. back to the comments. I don't know if I ever answered Sierra's question of what I hope to see come out of the eggs. So out of this clutch for Freya, I'm really just hoping for some asphalts. Asphalt by itself looks just like yellow belly, but super asphalt is awesome, and asphalt is the other ingredient along with yellow belly to make freeways. And freeways, in case, hi baby, I'm going to show you off. Are you sleeping? Did I wake you up? Here's a freeway right here. Get back to this thing. So here's Delilah. She's my little pastel freeway. And freeway is a combination of yellow belly and asphalt. Wait, let's go this way. So she is getting bit. You know, when I first got her, for those of you who saw the video when I first got her, she was stark white on her sides, right here, and everywhere except right in between the black freeway lines. She was stark white, and now she's yellowing out, like she's getting some nice yellows up her sides, and she's not really fading, which is the thing. A freeway versus a highway. Highway is yellow belly and gravel together, making pretty much the same snake, except for highways fade out a lot more than freeways do. So anyway, we're looking to make more freeways. So when I got Ron, the whole point was to have a boyfriend for Delilah when she's ready to breed, which is at least a year, probably 2 years down the road, or seasons down the road. But when Ron showed up, he was bigger than I expected him to be. He's breeding size right now, so that's why I put him to Freya. So anyway, we're trying to make these with. I'd love to see a calico freeway, you know, orange dream freeway, such like that. You want to stay out? This is another one. Oh, hold on. Let me just see where Freya went. Oh, there she is. I like to keep an eye on them. So this is one that likes to get out and wander too, but she is not as big, so she can really get herself lost. And speaking of, that one could really get herself lost too. So I'm always like really vigilant when I have my snakes out, because you don't want to lose a snake, you know. So she likes to be out and roam around, and I just follow her wherever she goes. Okay. So let me check these comments. You guys, we're an hour into this. We should probably close at some point soon. Hey James, you did not miss Kent. Kent has not been here. I don't know that he will on this one. I sometimes get sidetracked and Kent doesn't show up. Okay, oh, hang on. I gotta save Freya. Hey babes, you can't go back there. What are you doing? Oh my gosh. Hold on, you guys. Oh my gosh. Oh, you crazy snake. All right. I'll tell you what just happened. Freya, hold on, I'm going to put her back for sure. Oh, you crazy snake. She just took out a little baseboard thing and tried to get behind my refrigerator where the spiders are. There's spiders back there. So I had to pull the baseboard I've got this weird baseboard situation where I can remove it and then pop it back on, because she had unpopped it because she's super strong and tried to get back there. All right, give me just a second to get her situated. All right. Okay, that was crazy. Everybody survived. I'm putting Delilah back now too. There you go, babes. Okay. That was crazy. I just had to do a snake rescue. And that's why when I have them out, I'm usually watching them all the time. Until they, like, if Freya goes behind my couch, then I know she's going to be there. Like, she's probably not going to leave behind the couch. But she wasn't behind the couch. All right. Back to this stuff. You guys, it's so hot in my place right now. Positive Pyro asks, at what point is a ball python considered an adult? I say 3 years. That's, you know, they're not done growing. They'll grow technically their whole life, but those first 3 years are the biggest growth spurts for a ball python and most snakes. Hang on, just give me a minute of being silent here for a second while I... I'm almost caught up, you guys. I'm skipping through a lot of stuff, so I may not see your specific question. Okay. All right. Okay. I think I'm caught up pretty much. Was I talking about something that was important before Freya got in trouble? That's what I'm wondering. We were talking about Husbandry Pro. That's a cool thing, and I recommend it if you have a bunch of snakes. It's a great way to track. I'm printing out snake... Oh, where's that sheet that Here's the test sheet. Here's little cards. These are going to go on in cards. That have a little QR code where you scan in the QR code and then put your entry in. So it's cool, and you set up a breeding pair, and then when a clutch is laid, that sets up cards for the new clutch when that hatches, and all of a sudden you have all those snakes in there with IDs and everything. It's cool. It's really involved. It's a bit of a learning curve, but I think it's worth it. It's better than handwriting everything in individual diaries, which is what I've been doing. I love the stack of books that I have. It's cool. I've worked on them a lot, but it's just not a sustainable way to track your snakes if you have a lot, or animals, period, if you have a lot of them. So, is there anybody else that anyone wants to see as far as my snakes? I've had out several of them now. Brandon's wondering how far snakes can see. That's a good question. I doubt they can see very far. I think it gets blurry after not too far. And I also think, they can see movement from a little ways away, and they'll react to movement. But I don't know that they can make out what it actually is. I'm totally guessing, though. I have no idea for real, you know. But it's a great question. I'd love to know the answer. Okay, there we go. So, oh, Molly. You want to see Molly Malone? That's from Maya Brown. Let's see. Where is Molly Malone? Oh, hi, babes. You're awake even. Hello. Want to come out? Want to come out in all of your Ultramel glory? So Molly is a Ultramel het pied, and she is delightful. She's featured in Monday's video prominently because she is, even though she's a healthy weight and a fine size, she is not a consistent eater, and I've got her to become a consistent eater. So hopefully, I mean, so far she's become more consistent, and but she used to like to skip meals, so we're talking about that in my next video. But she's a beautiful little, probably 700 gram yearling. She's about a year old. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ultramel. This is one that it's not the most popular of recessive genes right now, but man, it's so cool. And I hear a lot of people say that it just is the recessive banana, but it's not at all. To me, it doesn't look anything like banana. Devin Ward, what is your favorite ball python morph and or pattern? You know, that changes a lot, and it usually changes based on the snake that's in my hand. But I'm a big fan of clown and the clown combos, and I've said before that clown is my favorite. But man, it really has to do with the snake that I'm holding, because I would also say right now that maybe Ultramel is my favorite. Calico, I had Freya out. Calico's my favorite. So there's a lot. There's so many cool. I mean, one of the fascinating things about ball python specifically is just all the crazy cool genetics that you can have and the different looks you can have to these snakes. And just weird that we've found all these genes that, they're naturally in the snakes, but because two snakes with those same genes probably wouldn't get together in the wild, they may never come out. But if they did come out in the wild, a lot of those snakes would never survive. Like a high white pied, like Lucille, would never survive in the wild, And the Inspector, that's basically a slithering highlighter pen, would never survive in the wild. But yet those genes are in there, Let's see. Yeah, Nick, I love Damara. She's just a pinstripe, but man, she's a great big girl, and she's so sweet, and I love having her out. I will be excited for her to lay her eggs and then start to recover, so I can start bringing her out more and letting her come out. Brianna, I've never worked with Aspen. I would say if it's possible to do cocoa husk instead of aspen, that's a good way to control it. But then, yeah, the other way is just to have springtails in there. The problem is that every time you change out your enclosure, you're getting rid of your springtails too. So, yeah, that's a tough one. I haven't worked with aspen. There might be somebody else that has experience with that. Pitts fam, that's a tough question to answer, which is my favorite ball python and why. Damara, because of what I was just saying. She just is the sweetest. You know, I bought her from a guy who had bought. She came from a Petco when she was a baby, and he raised her since 2017. I got Damara, I guess, probably a little over a year ago. And the pictures that he sent me were Damara with his 3-year-old daughter. And apparently she spent tons of time out of her enclosure and just was really well socialized. And so she's just one of those snakes that's, you can tell, is just totally fine being out and about and happy to, you know, be wherever. You know, like she's not, nothing scares her, I guess is the point. Just checking on little Echo back there to make sure she doesn't move. If she starts to move, you guys, and I don't see it, somebody say something in the comments. And like an hour later, I'll get to it. Let's see. Can someone in their 40s with good character, without acting school and such, still get into the movies? Jaybird, that's a great question. Sure. I think the best way to do it is to make your own movie and be awesome in it and have that movie get attention, and then you start getting stuff. That's the fastest way to do it, in my opinion. Especially a guy. It's tougher for women. That's unfortunate to say, but it's true. At that age, anyway. Devin, you're right. Blue in a ball python would look awesome. I don't know of it though. There's some purple stuff, so I guess we're kind of moving into blue as we get purples into ball pythons. Oh, positive pyro. Yeah, we can see the inspector. Let's see what Molly Malone does here. On my hat as I read these, and then I'll pull the inspector out. Okay, so Aspen isn't good for them. I know a lot of people keep snakes on Aspen. I just don't know about Aspen, so I can't speak to it because I haven't used it. I know it's a common substrate. I think Aspen, it really depends on your humidity in your area, whether Aspen works or not. I don't think it would work well for me, but it's all about humidity. I think this happened, and I was wearing a different hat, but this is why I'm wearing this hat, by the way, is I wanted a strong brimmed hat because I know the snakes like to crawl up on it when I'm on a live stream, and I think it was Molly who did it before. I'm seeing myself backwards, so I don't know which direction to go. I think Molly was the one that did it before on my bowler hat. Where's she at? Oh, there she is. Checking out the stuff. So let's get the inspector. So the inspector here is, you guys. So you see all the sweat on my shirt from how hot my place is. So I shot this video, yesterday. No, two days ago. I shot the video. It takes me a while to shoot, and it wasn't that hot in my place. But I took a really hot shower before. I was like, I'm gonna take a shower. I'm gonna look good for this video. And then I put on, I was wearing a brown Reach Out Reptiles t-shirt with another shirt over it. And I couldn't tell that I was totally sweating through that shirt. So I recorded the whole video, and then I started editing it. And I was like, oh my God, really? I'm like sweating like crazy. I look like this basically, which I'm okay with in a live video, but not. So I was like, you know what? Is there a way that I can just make this funny and call it out and not have to reshoot? And I guess I'm too vain to do that because I reshot. I got up at 5 o'clock the next morning and reshot. Where is she on this side? She's crawling onto. Oh, she's crawling onto the target. There we go. All right. You know what, babes? Can we put you back so we can get the inspector out? Are you in my hat band? In my cheap hat band? You're all in explore mode now, and I'm going to put you back. Sorry. Okay. Let's get you back in there. So let's talk about the inspector setup for a second. I'm going to hold on, I just want to make sure she gets back in here. That debacle that I had with Freya a little bit ago was traumatizing to me. Now I'm afraid that my snakes are all going to get in trouble when I have them out. Okay, we're getting the inspector. Hold on one second. Yeah, Happy Amy. I love Brian Barczyk's videos. He does great stuff. A lot of people, especially people that I think people that are relatively new to ball pythons and are reading old posts about Brian, they get a sense that he's not a good guy because Brian had a bad reputation for a little while. But Brian's doing some awesome stuff, and he's got some good videos. I think he's a really good guy. Jaybird, yeah, there's my favorite bar around Burbank is actually in North Hollywood, and it's called Idle Hour. And I actually just performed there the other night for a party. But it's also they hire me to perform there sometimes, but it's also, hi buddy, are you up and out? It's also the place that I go to hang. So the inspector setup, I'm going to talk more about this in an upcoming video, but this is basically a wood pile that I'm taking out. It used to be, he's got what I'm calling a subterranean hide. So it's just a regular medium reptile basics hide that he fits under. And this used to be under dirt, but if I ever wanted to get him out, I had to excavate the whole thing, and it was such a pain. So now I just put wood over the top of it, and it's fine like that. Hi, buddy. The inspector, he's getting better about coming out, but since breeding season, and he hasn't been breeding for a while, his last pairing was over a month ago, but he never went off food or anything, but he did go a little bit crazy. There's a video of that, if you guys saw that video of him really going nuts one night. But he's also been really sort of not interested in coming out of his enclosure and likes to fight me on it. And by fight me on it, I mean like he'll like bump me with a coil. He's never bitten or anything like that. But he just doesn't always want to be messed with until I pull him out. Then he just wants to kind of explore around and whatever. But the inspector, let's just look at him real quick. So he's Banana, and Banana's a tough one when you've got other genes in the mix because it hides stuff pretty well. It's such a visually dominant gene. So he's got Banana, and he's also got, hey buddy, you okay there? He's also got Inchy and Orange Dream. And Orange Dream does a little bit of the same thing that Inchy does as far as reducing the pattern. So both parents were Inchy and Orange Dream. So he could potentially be super Inchy, and he could potentially be super Orange Dream. But you can't tell. It's really difficult to tell. But if he is super Inchy, then every baby in that clutch, in whatever clutch he sires, I don't know if it's that one in the incubator right now or not, but if it is his, then every baby would be an Inchy. And if he's super Orange Dream, then every baby would be an Orange Dream. That's how we would know if he's super. I don't think he's pastel because I think his head would be lighter. One of his parents was pastel. So I don't think he has that in him, but he might have fire in him because he's got a parent with fire too, and that's difficult to tell. But he's got this funky head pattern, this head stamp. I'm getting a phone call right now that says scam likely. I love that it does that. Look at this. Scam likely. Anyway, he's got some crazy patterning, and I bought him from Garrick DeMeyer. And when I got him, Garrick was like, we were just talking about different potential cool snakes that he had, and I wanted something a little bit different. And he goes, I've got this boy that I was holding back because I don't know what's in him, and I wanted to prove him out. And he goes, but I want the space, so I'm willing to sell him, and I'll sell him to you for what I know he has in him. And he goes, I know he's banana, I know he's inchy, and I know he's orange dream. Beyond that, he could be super, he could have fire, we don't know. So I said, okay, I'll prove him out. So that's what we're doing. And Garrick has so many snakes. He produces so many snakes that he won't even remember that he sold me this. So I would love to tell Garrick what the results were, but he won't even remember, I don't think. Hang on. Let's see. Gabrielle, the inspector is basically fully grown. He's 3 years old, so this is a good example of what I would say a full-grown male, but he's not going to stop growing. After 3 years, they slow their growth down quite a bit. And this also has to do with how much you're feeding them. People overfeed their snakes in this hobby a lot. And the inspector eats weekly. Sometimes I have him skip a week. And he never gets anything bigger than a small rat. So he is lean and mean and muscular and strong. He's in really good shape. So he's pretty much full grown. My breeding females are bigger. The females are bigger, and you do feed them more when they're in breeding season, because they need that extra fat to get through breeding season when they go off food. You don't have to do that with the males so much. So I like to keep them lean. So let's see. Yeah, Jen, that temper tantrum that the inspector threw. So you guys, there's a video that I posted not too long ago, and I recorded this temper tantrum that the inspector threw when I pulled him out of Damara's enclosure. He apparently was not finished. They were unlocked. They were not locked, but he did not want to be out of that enclosure. They had been locked for I don't remember now, like over 24 hours, I think, maybe 36 hours, and they were done. Unlocked. I pulled him out, and he threw an absolute fit. And then eventually I went, oh man, while I'm trying to decide what to do with this guy, I should record this. So I started recording, and he was still throwing a fit, but not nearly as bad as it was when it started. Like, I wish I had started recording it when he first started doing it. He just was throwing himself all over the enclosure and still never bit me. Like, I ended up pulling him out and putting him back in with Damara for the night, and that calmed him down. But my thought was that I was going to feed him, and then I decided not to, and he just was, throwing like destroying his plants and just going crazy. It was nuts. Let's see. I'm just reading everybody's funny comments. Seraph O. Storms. So this is something that somebody was asking me earlier today online. And the size of your feeder doesn't have anything to do with the age of your snake. It's the size of your snake. So, the general rule that I tell people, and I tell people this because we're usually talking about a baby snake, a juvenile that's under 3 years old, is that you feed them something that's about the same width of the widest part of their body. Now, the inspector at this size, he doesn't need that. He could take a medium rat. I could feed him a medium rat. That would be the same width. It'd be quite a bit longer than what he usually gets. But he could take that, and that would be too much for him. He'd be fat, and he would just get bigger and bigger and fatter, and there's no need for that. So I feed him a small rat, and a small is a little bit smaller than the widest part of his body right now. But you could also have what are you doing, buddy? Just thinking about this, I don't know how big your snake is, but I've seen snakes that are 3 years old that are way smaller, and it's just because they they haven't been fed anything but like a rat pup or a weaned rat for 3 years, and so they just haven't grown. And in that case, it's just a matter of feeding them. You don't want to overfeed them, but you want to feed them the nutrition that they could use at the size that they're at. You know, in the wild, hey, crazy, he's grabbing all of his hide stuff. I'm gonna redo his hide while I talk. In the wild, if you think about it, a ball python is not going to find the ideal size food, right? They're going to, can I do this? Can we do this for a minute? So I can have two hands. You know, they're going to go into a rodent burrow and find a whole bunch of baby rodents, and they're going to eat 10 of them in a row. They're going to go into a burrow and find one great big rodent and eat that great big rodent. They're going to grab a bat, possibly, or a bird, and it might be quite a bit bigger. It might be 1.5 times the size of the thickest part of their body. And they take the time to down that, and then they're good for a long time. They don't need to eat again for a couple months, you know. And they also don't eat every week. They try to eat every week, probably, in the wild, but they're not that good at catching prey. You know, snakes, this is like hawks and falcons, like red-tailed hawks and stuff like that. A lot of those animals starve to death in the wild because they're not great at catching prey. They're trying to do it all the time, but it doesn't always happen. And it's the same with snakes. So they're going to take what they get, and sometimes it's a really big meal, and it takes them a long time to eat it once they catch it, you know. And sometimes it's a really small meal, you know. So what we try to do in captivity is give them something that's not a huge burden for them to tackle, you know, to eat, and something that's a decent nutrition for them. So, for instance, if you were feeding your ball python chicks, that wouldn't be great nutrition, you know. I mean, it's calories and stuff, but it's not as nutritious as a rat. And just like a mouse is not quite as nutritious as a rat. But some snakes only eat that. How come, are you super head shy right now? Is that what's happening? Can we do this? So I do this to my snakes, especially when they're being head shy like this. Just touch them on their head, and it freaks him out a little bit for a minute, but then he realizes that I'm not killing him. Like, I'm not doing anything that's, you know, that's really actually dangerous to him, so he will eventually recognize that being head shy is not necessary, you know. But he's just kind of, I think because of breeding season, he's still a little bit, it kind of made him wild. Like, he's kind of bumping me right now. He's not happy about being out. So I'm going to put him back. Let's see what he does. You want to go back? You want to go back, crazy man? So he kind of, before breeding season, he was, you know, he wasn't super used to being handled because he was in one of Garrick's racks, and you know, I'm sure Garrick handled him if he needed to, but hardly ever had human contact until he came to me, and then I was working with him all the time, and he got to where he was really cool with being handled, and then he got into breeding season, and now he's back to, he's probably worse now than when I first got him, as far as that kind of behavior that you just saw. Him just deciding that he's going to start jumping around and being real reactive. And I think that's just a breeding season thing. So I'm going to pour a little more of this Highland Park, which is, for those of you who weren't here when I first explained it, this is a lovely Scotch, Highland Park 12. This is the, Highland Park has a few different ones. This is the Viking Honor edition of Highland Park 12. And it's really good for a Scotch that's not over $100. In fact, this is well under. This is like a $60 bottle of Scotch, at least where I'm at. Let's see. Okay, back to the comments real quick. I got to end this at some point, you guys. But I'm having fun, and I'm really, it's really nice to have all of you on here with me and interested in this, especially when I feel like I'm not doing well. Like, I feel like this live stream is all over the place. So to have 45 viewers right now still in this is nice, because at least it shows me that some people are interested, even though I'm kind of all over the place with this. Hang on, just reading through this. Brianna, yeah, I do. I do drink Scotch. I also drink bourbon, and I like whiskeys. I don't drink a lot. I mean, I'll say this: I drink often, but when I drink, I don't drink a lot, because I have this really great genetic thing within me that keeps me from being an alcoholic. Because if I get a little bit too buzzed, I start to feel sick and then go to sleep. So you'll never see me like drunk, just a little buzzed occasionally. But I really like whiskey, and I barrel it. I have my own. I have small barrels that are about like this that I barrel. Not my own whiskey. I'm not making whiskey, but I'll buy like Jim Beam or something that's inexpensive, and put it in a barrel for a few months and age it, and it comes out really nice and smooth. It's a fun thing to do. Oh, Skedra, yeah, I bet that is a lot cheaper in the UK for the Highland Park. I'm sure it is, because this is from is it Orkney Island? That's like the northernmost tip of Scotland is where that distillery is, and they make good stuff. It's pretty heavily peated for not being a Islay Scotch. I like it. Katie, why would my girl kill a rat and not eat it? Sometimes they do it. There's a number of things that could happen. They could kill the animal and decide that they're not hungry, or decide that it's too big for them to take down. It might be that they didn't plan on eating, but they're in the habit of just striking and coiling, but then just decided that they weren't going to eat. I mean, I was trying to get little Echo to take Reptilinks, and she would strike and coil. Basically, if that was a rat, she would be killing the rat, but then she didn't eat it. She decided she didn't want to eat that. So they're doing the behavior of eating, but then ultimately deciding, I don't think I want to eat this. And it's a bummer when that happens, especially if you're feeding live and you have to waste that rat, that was alive. That's a bummer. Let's see. Thanks, guys, for everybody that's saying that this has been a great live. I appreciate that. Glad you guys are in, even if you got here late. I tend to go long on these live streams. It's a thing that, I mean, I tend to go long anyway in my videos. I always, I get done editing a video and I'm like, man, that's so much longer than I wanted it to be. But that's okay, I guess. I guess at this point it's my style to go long. What do I do if my snake refuses food? When do I try again? Just try again the next week. That's a pretty common thing for a snake to refuse food. We're talking about ball pythons, and we're going to talk a little bit about that on Monday on the next video that I do. But I have a video on how to get your snake back on food, and another video on why is your snake potentially refusing food. But sometimes, like Molly Malone, the Ultramel that I had out, sometimes they're not really off food. They'll just go a couple weeks without eating. Then they'll take a meal, and then they'll go 3 weeks without, and then they'll take a meal, and they're just not steady eaters. So that's what I'm trying to address in next week's video. But wait, wait a week if Skedra, thanks for that super chat to make the next bottle cheaper. I appreciate that. That's really nice. I would say if your snake flat out refuses, just wait a week, to feed them. And if they're, one of the things, and I say this in my other video, so I'm not going to get deep into it, but one of the things you can do if your snake is off food, they have refused a whole bunch of meals in a row, is don't even offer anything for 3 weeks or maybe 4 weeks, and then go in and offer. And they'll oftentimes take that meal because they haven't been offered in a while. They're out of the habit. These snakes are creatures of habit, and so when they get into a habit of refusing food, that's their habit now. So if you wait for 3 weeks or 4 weeks and then offer a meal, for one thing, they might be out of that habit, and for another, they haven't seen a meal in a long time. So again, this might spark their what's the word that I'm trying to think of? You guys know what I'm trying to say. It's gonna spark their opportunistic. That's the word. It's gonna spark their opportunistic feeding situation. God, I still didn't nail that. I nailed the word, but I didn't nail the phrase. It's unfortunate, but you understand what I'm saying. What are your thoughts on blooper reels? I think if the editor has, it's a good question, Positive Pyro. I think if the editor of the blooper reel was good, I think they're funny. I like watching them. I love watching the ones from The Office and like Parks and Rec. Those are good. Let's see. Oops, hold on. And I like, speaking of blooper reels, I love that Clint puts a blooper reel at the end of his videos. Those are always fun and charming. He's a really good guy, and his channel's awesome. Yeah, as far as refusing food, you guys, I only have a couple snakes who I can say have never refused a meal. So it's pretty, it's pretty common for snakes to refuse occasionally. It's not common for them to go out to just be off food. You hear that all the time. It's a ball python. They go off food all the time. There's always a reason that they went off food, and you should try to look for that reason and figure out what that was. Even though it is common for ball pythons to go off food, it's probably more accurate to say that it's common for ball pythons to find a reason to go off food, and it's up to us to figure out what that reason was and try to fix it. Jaybird, thanks for buying me a drink. That's really nice of you guys to make bottles of liquor cheaper for me and buy me a drink. I appreciate it. It's really nice. Ryder, you're asking how to get a snake to eat off tongs instead of off a plate. If they'll eat off a plate, that's great. Feed it to them off a plate. I have snake Freya eats off a plate. She strikes sometimes. I offer it to her, and maybe 1 out of 3 or 4 she'll strike. But the others, I just leave it on a plate for her, and she eats when she eats. Some snakes are like that. They're shy. Either A, they're shy, or B, and it's probably a combination of the two. They don't need the pretense of, ooh, this is alive, I'm going to make it dance around, And Damara's the same way. She'll eat off a plate, no problem. And I think that's fine. However your snake, what my feeling is, whatever your snake wants to eat and however they want to eat is how you should feed them. So in other words, if your snake is a mouser, you can try to get them on rats, and like I'm trying to do with Lucille, but I'm okay with her. I just know that I have to feed her more mice in a sitting. She's gonna get 2 or 3 jumbo mice rather than one small or medium rat, So, positive pyro. You know what the problem is with? I guess I do have Blooper there. I do add a clip. I've been doing it more where I'll add a clip of something in between the little tail card that I put in my video, and then the final tail card. There's usually a little something, and sometimes that's like a little blooper thing. Jaybird, yeah, The Office was brilliant. The British Office was the best. It was my favorite show of all time, and when the American version happened, I boycotted it for a really long time until I caught a couple episodes and I went, oh wow, this is actually good and it's different enough from the other Office. It was great. Really liked it. Zer Marvin, congrats on your first ball python. I'm glad that my setup video helped. That's great. Yeah, Thomas Cooper, you've got the right idea. Have a snake that'll eat anything, and then you'll never waste a rat. You've got a boa that'll eat anything that your ball python refuses. That's the way to do it. Brianna, the names of my snakes that's important to me, and it's not important to a lot of people. There's some people, and this is okay. I'm not judging them, but there are some people that just like they'll go on YouTube and have people name their snakes, and they're like, yeah, whatever. I'll just name it whatever. But I don't know. I've always found it important to me. So they're kind of in different. I'll give you an example of a couple. Damara and Freya. I got at about the same time, and I wanted to name them after fertility goddesses. So that's two fertility goddesses names. Lucille has a smiley face. Hang on. Lucille has a smiley face emoji, and it reminded me of the drama and comedy masks, and I wanted her to have a comedian name, and so I was going to name her Sarah after Sarah Silverman, and then I was like, oh no, she's Lucille, like Lucille Ball. Although I didn't give her the last name. Babes? So she's got this little sort of sarcastic looking smiley face. I'm sorry, did I rip you out of your hide? Was that a little bit too abrupt? I'm sorry. She's the sweetest snake, and I love her. And I don't think she's going to go this year. She has lost a little bit of weight in the last couple months. I just weighed her, and so I'm trying to get her back on food, and hopefully she goes back soon. I have no doubt. I think she'll go back, but she's kind of. She's bigger than a ball python would be in the wild, but this is, for a breeding female, this is a pretty. It's a pretty arched spine situation. She's not thin, but she's definitely not a big fat breeding female. At this point, so. We'll see what happens here, but I love her. She's fantastic. So that's a name story, and then Molly Malone and Lydia Dietz I got at the same time. And here, do you want to explore a little bit? Can you do it without getting yourself in trouble? And so Lydia is a clown, but she has ghost faces all over her, and I got them around October. I'm just slowly letting Lucille back in her enclosure here. So I got them around Halloween, and I wanted to give them like Halloween type names. So Lydia Dietz from Beetlejuice was all about ghosts. That's the daughter in Beetlejuice, for those of you who don't know. And hang on one second. Just putting snakes back. And Molly Malone is there's a Irish song called Molly Malone. Here's Lydia Dietz, by the way. Let's take a look at her ghost faces on the side of her. She's got scary. She's a Halloween snake. She's got scary ghost faces. She's got ghost faces, and she's got one mariachi. Hold on. Where's her? Oh, here's her mariachi guy. Right there. Look at that. Right there. Well, mariachi guy with a mustache. Anyway, so Molly Malone. There's a song called Molly Malone about a fishmonger in Dublin who dies, and now she's a ghost. It's basically the whole story in the song. There's several verses, but basically it's like, there's this lady, she sold fish, then she died. Now she's a ghost. So it's Molly Malone. Anyway, those were those two names. Ron, got it. You know, my mother and my sister love the names that I come up with for my snakes, and they love the stories behind them. So when I got Ron and told them that his name was Ron, they were like, "No, but seriously, what's his name?" And I was like, "His name's Ron. That's his name." And they were like, "But seriously." And Ron is named Ron because he's got a mustache. He's a spot nose, and he has a full-on mustache. And Ron Burgundy and Ron Swanson, two of my favorite mustachioed people. And also, his eyes, he's got really cool eyes, and they look like the eye of Sauron. So his actual name is Sauron, but since Sauron is the most evil creature in the universe of Lord of the Rings, I don't want to call him Sauron, so we just shorten it to Ron. So a number of reasons for him being called Ron. So those are those stories. Let me see what else. Okay, I'm skipping some of these. Sorry, guys. We just have to try to catch up. You guys all have great names for your snakes. I'm trying to cruise up and see what else I've missed here. Oh, Positive Pyro, thanks. Yeah, I put that. So I put that video of me juggling fire because I haven't really talked about that. I perform at these Renaissance festivals, and one of the things I do is I juggle flaming battle axes and flaming chainsaw blades and stuff. It's a comedy show, but it's, you know, I do this crazy juggling thing. And you know, that video I was talking about traveling the whole time, but I didn't discuss what I was doing when I traveled, so I thought it was appropriate to put a crazy bit of fire juggling at the end of that video, just for shock value, I guess. Yeah, Echo is still here. Let's grab her. Hi, babes. Hi. Did I wake you up out of a deep slumber? Let's get back to her. This is we're nearing the end of this video, and we started with Echo, so it's good to end with her, I think. I'll respond to a couple Brianna, so the video, I think it's is it the last video that I posted, you guys, is the traveling one? What to do when you leave your snake go on vacation or travel, or I don't know what I called it, but it's that video that has some crazy juggling in it, and that's kind of an interesting story in that the reason I even know how to juggle is because when I was probably 8 or 9 years old, a clown taught me. which is crazy. Hang on, I'm trying to get back to this other view. So my mom was the president of the PTA, and there was a convention. You know how when you were in school, there'd be assemblies, and you'd go to the gym, and there'd be some guy that was like, "Hey, I used to do drugs, but now I have a dog that catches frisbees," and he'd throw a frisbee, and the dog would catch it, and it's your assembly for the day. Well, those people all gather at a convention apparently, and they peddle their wares. They sit in a booth, and they're like, "I do this, and I do this, and I can come to your school and teach your kids about don't do drugs." And so they do that at a convention, and the whole school district comes by and hires those people all in like one weekend. So my mom was going to one of these conventions because she was president of the PTA, and I guess she didn't have anything to do with me, so she brought me along. And this clown that was setting up his booth was like, "Hey kid, if you help me set up my booth, I'll teach you how to juggle." And I went, "Okay." So this guy was a really good teacher. I don't think I was a talented juggler. I think he was a really good teacher. And it was so long ago that I've got a really vague memory of it, but I know that he started me on scarves, and he taught me the pattern of how to juggle 3 scarves. So I had that the first day. And then the second day, he went, "Okay, you know how to juggle this pattern of scarves. Now I'm going to give you these clubs, and you're going to go to clubs." So he went from scarves to clubs, and he showed me how the clubs flip, and then he said, "It's the same pattern as the scarves. These are just going to flip, and they're going to move faster." And it took me all day, but I got to where I could sort of juggle them by the end of the day. And that was day 2 and the last day of the thing. And he gave me, I still have those clubs that he gave me, and he gave me some rings, and he gave me some scarves that I don't have anymore. But from then on, like, I've always known how to juggle, but I never performed it because I always thought it was dumb and cheesy. It was just something that I knew how to do. And then I started doing these festival gigs at festivals that were like during the day, and people are day drinking, and they're bringing their kids to these shows and stuff. And it used to just be a stand-up comedy show that I was kind of doing in character, completely different than what I would do at a comedy club, because these are Renaissance fairs. And I realized they need something visual, and I'm not a good juggler. I know how to do it, and there are really good jugglers that come to these fairs, so I've got to do something totally different. And I realized that if I just juggle, if I find the most dangerous thing I could possibly find to juggle, then I don't have to do other tricks. Like, I don't have to juggle 10 things and go behind my back or anything like that. I just juggle 3 of them, and they're really dangerous, and the crowd will love it. And it worked. So that's what I do now. I do a comedy show, and I juggle dangerous things. It's very silly. Yeah, it's a crazy story, right? I'm glad you guys like the story. Julius Squeezer is a great name for a snake. Well done. I love that. I'm just reading through this. So yeah, Brianna, I mean, that's the thing. I don't consider myself a juggler, and I really am not a good, like, I know people that are good jugglers, and by that I mean they can do all sorts of tricks and juggle all kinds of stuff. I really don't. I juggle 3 things, and I can basically do that. And sometimes I drop them. I'm not always good at it. But it works for the show that I do. And I don't feel like I need to practice and get any better at it, because to me it's more of a comedy show than a juggling show anyway. But at a Renaissance fair, you do need that visual. Like, you need something that's like a big visual thing to hold people's attention. Speaking of holding people's attention, I really appreciate you guys that I've held your attention for, how long have we been going? 10 hours? I really appreciate the fact that you're on here. Where's my thing that tells me how long I've been going? I can't even, hold on. I have no idea. I can't find it. It's okay. So, one of these shows, I tour. Where is this girl? I can't even see her. Are you on my hat? Oh, you are on my hat. Hi. There you go. You can hang out on my hat. I tour mainly the West Coast. I do a show in Texas also for a few weekends. But it's mostly West Coast stuff. I try to stay in LA as much as possible. But I consider that gig my day job, like that's how long. I've been going 2 hours. It just hit 2 hours, you guys. That's crazy. Okay. I'm going to answer a couple more questions and then we're out. And it's also telling me that YouTube is screwing up right now anyway, so this is probably a good time. You guys are fantastic. I am going to jump off because now YouTube